Today I'm going to go through the steps to do clutch up wheelies, or more specifically clutch ups just to get the front wheel up a few inches above the road surface. Most of the clutch up tutorials you see online are by people who are pretty proficient already, and they tend to skip over the first few basic steps that are required before you can move on to any of the more advanced techniques. What this is not is a tutorial about how to find the balance point. It's not an advanced tutorial. It's for beginners like myself who are just setting out on their clutch up journey. So strap on your protective gear, find yourself a nice quiet spot where you're not going to be bothering people, and let's go. Alright, so the first step here is to make sure that you just have one or two fingers on the clutch at all times. The other fingers on your left hand should be on the handlebars, of course. And on your right hand, you want to make sure that you take your fingers off the front brake lever altogether. The reason, of course, is that if you come down from a wheelie and happen to snatch the front brake, you're very likely to go over the handlebars, and that would be bad. Make sure that you're covering the rear brake with your foot. The rear brake is not actually used in this drill, but this helps build muscle memory for when you will need the rear brake. If you get the bike up further, you may need the rear brake to control the balance point, or to bring the bike back down again if you need to. For this drill, you'll want to maintain a comfortable centered position in the saddle. Not too far forwards. You don't want to be leaning into the wheelie, and at this stage we're not focusing on shifting our weight to the rear of the bike. So yeah, nice comfortable centered position on the bike. So that is the basic setup, and now we'll move on to the drill itself. I would very strongly recommend isolating each of these steps and practicing it many times until you're entirely comfortable with it before adding in the next step. And with that said, let's focus on the left hand, the clutch. You should aim to be sort of mid-range RPMs, I don't know, somewhere around 3,000 RPMs, and all you're doing is you're going to pull the clutch in and then snap it open again. So pull it in and then snap it open. Just pull it in, snap it open. You're trying to find that instantaneous release of the clutch. Clutch in, pop it open. Of course, you'll feel the bike kind of catch when you do this. Clutch in, release. Clutch in, release. By the way, I would recommend doing this technique in second gear. You could do it at first, but it might be a little twitchy. And now we're going to switch over to the right hand. So once again, I'm right around 3,000 RPM on this bike. To do this part of the drill, you should practice it with the clutch in. So just hold the clutch in and then give it a blip of power on the throttle. And I would get it up to, I don't know, on this bike it's about 7,000 RPM. You'll notice that I'm not doing anything else with the clutch at this stage. I'm not attempting to release the clutch. I'm not trying to coordinate my right or left hands yet. I'm simply holding the clutch in to build that muscle memory. And the reason you want to start with the mid-range RPMs is because what you're really trying to do here is capture the torque of the engine at the optimal point. If you're revving too high, of course you'll run out of torque pretty quickly. And if you're too low, you may not have the torque either. And that is it for this part of the drill. Practice that a million times and then move on to the next phase. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, please head on down the bottom there and hit subscribe. The next step is to combine the clutch release and the throttle blip. Goal at this point is not to lift the front wheel off the deck. So putting everything together that we've done so far, 1 or 2 fingers on the clutch, fingers off the front brake, right foot hovering over the rear brake, clutch in, throttle, and then clutch release. So as you can see, the bike is kind of lurching forwards, but the front wheel is staying firmly planted on the road for now. So really lock in that combination of right hand, left hand, right foot, and feel that sensation of the bike really lurching forwards. And by the way, this is something you can pretty much practice anywhere. There's no real risk that you're going to in fact lose control of the bike or anything, or start pulling wheelies in the middle of your commute, as long as you're in a reasonably secluded space where there's not too much traffic or pedestrians. And finally, you want to pull it all together, and this is the tricky bit. The difference between the previous drill and what we're going to do now is that you actually have to follow through on the accelerator with a little bit of power as you drop the clutch. And it can be a little alarming at first when you're not comfortable with the sensation of that much power being delivered to the rear wheel. So take it very slow and let's give it a go. This works best, by the way, if you do it on a slight incline. The angle of the road gives you a kind of an assist. Woo! Oh yeah. That about wraps it up for the day. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, please head on down the bottom there and drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe down below. Give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Cheers!